We'll begin our journey at the Barbican. The Plym estuary, or Catwater, is still a commercial port, with a wharf at Catdown. More about that later. Here, around the Barbican, the emphasis has changed from a commercial harbour to that of playing host to a modern sailing craft. However, there is still a small fishing fleet that operates from Sutton Harbour. Let's look more closely at the development of the harbour since the railway arrived. Remembering that the railway was a commercial link to London, the London and South West Railway was an important carrier to get produce to London speedily. The fish market was a late addition, built in 1896. Prior to this, the fish was processed on the quay, gutting and placing in salt, then packed into barrels. It took a long time to establish the building, as trawling was introduced in 1815, 81 years earlier. As Sutton Harbour grew in importance, the Custom House was built in 1820. Even now, some old warehouses are still here, although their use has changed somewhat. After the successful Manchester-Liverpool rail link that was formed in 1830, provincial towns felt they needed the rail link to London, and in 1934 a meeting inaugurating the Plymouth, Devonport and Exeter Company was formed. But these railway lines belie the fact that Sutton Harbour didn't get its rail link until 1879 because other developments seemed more viable, such as Stonehouse and Devonport. There was an additional problem that the London and South West and the Great Western Railway used different gauge rails. The London South West was set inside the Great Western Railway, as you can see. The railway arrived at Sutton Harbour via North Quay, and spurs around to Vauxhall Quay were served by the Great Western Railway from Coxside, and the London South West line was built through Catdown. In order for the wagons to move from one quay to another around a 90-degree turn, turntables were installed. However, today they've been built over. Here I am in North Quay here on the Barbican, and maybe this is where we start our incredible journey towards Princetown. Or maybe at Catdown Wharves. The Catwater was dredged, and there seemed to be much better wharfage there than in Sutton Harbour by 1888. And in 1897, the London South West had terminuses at Turnchapel. The railway continued around to Victoria Wharf, and it also served the limestone quarries, providing useful building materials for Plymouth. I'm taking a car trip parallel to the route taken by the trains. The old wharf buildings are still in use and line the edge of the waterside at Catwater. China clay was a product often exported here, as it is today, as well as other products, and larger ocean-going boats often visit the quayside. I will need to take a much newer road running parallel to the Plym estuary and the route of the railway and the tramway tracks. Up until relatively recently, there was a coal-fired power station on the left, which is now replaced by a sewage plant. But now I will leave the car and continue on foot. Looking back on the route I've taken, the single track is still in evidence. The horse-drawn tram carrying goods from the moor will have used this route. It would have followed the Plym along a stretch called the Lara, but will rejoin this later on. I've decided to take my incredible journey in 1895, the date on my map. I've returned to the North Quay to look at these modern apartments. Below these buildings are the original wharfs, dug perpendicular to the line of the water's edge. With the arrival of railway, these docks needed to be built outwards. We'll start our journey here to where Salt House once stood. The route goes through this modern tower block. The route would have taken the train through a Sutton Road and over to the Friary, now a shopping complex. London and South West's rail route passed through a coal yard before going through a tunnel under Exeter Street. Back in 1895, it was called Jubilee Street. This modern commercial unit would have been the site of the coal yard. The tunnel would have passed under Jubilee Road into Friary Station. St Jude's Church gives us a bearing as to the next step of the route as it passes under Tot Hill Bridge. Looking at this large area, it seems that this may well have been a marshalling yard at one time. The railway continues, eventually joining the Lera.